It's time for AI News, brought to you by AIAW Podcast.
I'm gonna persevere to take topics that is not LLM or generative AI oriented. I'm gonna push this, but I don't want to start. I want to start with the, what is the other news that
Mistral released their
Mistral,
exactly.
Yes, let's go there.
Yeah, that's basically what I know, because they released it as a torrent and just put it up on X, and I think GitHub as well. It's like, here you go, guys, which is quite interesting and also very different from Gemini when it comes to kind of marketing. I for one was struck, felt like struck by lightning when I saw the video from Google on Gemini. But then I understood that they are all did a lot of cutting and editing in that one. So
that's another news. Two news.
Let's continue with the Mistral thing. I think it's interesting from a technical point of view in many ways. So Mistral, they released another 7 billion model before that was really amazing and could beat the performance of a lot of other much bigger models as well. And it came from France. It's a European model. That's awesome and very great to see. Now they released another mixture of expert model, the Mistral, which is 8 models at once. And this is, as at least speculated, what also GPT-4 is. So GPT-4, they say, is also a mixture of expert model that is potentially 8 or 16 different models that have different experts in them. And now, finally, and I've been waiting for this for some time, when will the first mixture of expert open source model come out? And Mistral was the first one to do it. So I think this is amazing. And I think this, of course, is the future, to have this kind of not as simplistic as just more transformer blocks, but actually having a set of experts where each expert focus on different topics. And in that way, it's much faster to train, and especially it's much faster to do inference on.
Yeah, and the energy consumption is, and the whole consumption of how you use the whole neuron network to what you need to light up is a very different architecture.
Yes.
So could you elaborate a little bit? I was trying to read up to understand the differences, but it's quite cool.
So basically each token, as it goes through the network, this kind of autoregressive, it takes one token at a time, and then when it has one token, it takes the next token. But depending on the token, it goes to different paths in this huge network of, in this case, not 7 billion, but like 40-ish billion, 45 billion, I think it was. But it doesn't go through every parameter. So these kind of traditional dense models have to use all the parameters for every token. Now it can just take like a 1/8 of it. It's not really true, because it's not every part of the transformer block that is duplicated. It's just the feed forward part, which is the one that has the most parameter in it. So that is the most important one. But still, a part of each block, as it goes from layer to layer to layer, as all these kind of deep learning networks do, they are routed depending on the token. And that is much more efficient to do, more efficient to train, and especially much more efficient to inference on.
So the interesting thing is there's not only there's a new open source model from Europe. It's a first in building expert models like this, like the architecture.
Yeah, but mixture of expert has been around since 2014. It's actually, I think it was Ilya Sutskever, that is still, driving OpenAI, that first wrote a paper on this, I think in 2014 or something.
But to put it out in the wild, so to speak.
Yeah, the big open source one. And of course, Ilya is now working in OpenAI, and probably GPT-4 is a mixture of expert since he first published about it, to my knowledge. So it's super cool that we actually have an open source version that is in potentially the same type of architecture.
It's just not the bigger what they build 7B. It's 8 times 7B. It's a slightly different architecture. It's cool.
It's bigger, but still faster.
Smarter.
It's bigger and faster. And
more efficient.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's one news. Then we almost slipped into the Gemini news. And the Gemini news, we talked about Gemini last week, but there is a twist now. It is a little bit faked. What did you hear, David?
No, I just saw on following the news and saw that they actually edited that quite extensively. They haven't shown, as far as I know, how much they edited, but it wasn't that real-time interaction.
We were all blown away by the video. We were blown away by the video.
I texted Patrick like, what is this? now we are on AGI, but it's a bit disappointed, of course. But as far as I understand it, Anders, you're the real expert here, probably. But it's still a better model than ChatGPT.
In some sense, we can speak about the MMLU benchmark, which is to be heavily, discussed and questioned, but which is the one that they beat on potentially. But leave that aside. I think I feel cheated. I feel a bit annoyed because we spoke last week about Gemini, and I spoke specifically about they are just drawing an image of a guitar. Now they have an audio, and then they were writing or drawing other stuff, and suddenly they have an electric guitar, and suddenly they have drums, and it was faked. It looked like it was real time.
Yeah.
Now it did produce the things, but it instead of what the video suggests, which is that it's just drawing and it's in real time doing stuff, it was not at all in real time, and they produced like text prompts as well, and not just the drawings. And they had this kind of other demo, which was this kind of duck, which they drew.
Exactly, that was.
Yeah. And that looked like it in real time as you just added some blue paint on it. But that was also like not in real time. And they had, textual prompts that they didn't show.
Why would you do that at this point in time? Why?
And Google has done this before. If you remember the old duplex thing,
it's a standard.
No, but we're all going to know about it, and it's just destroys trust.
I think I know one person.
It destroys trust if you get caught.
But they get caught.
They get caught, and they got caught before with the duplex thing.
Steve Jobs, he didn't get caught.
Yeah, well, no one. Who likes Apple?
I do.
Sorry, but anyway, we have a person, personal friend, that worked with Gemini, and he's a very good guy that I know, and I'm sure he wouldn't say this, but I speak in his words when I say that I think he's very annoyed with the marketing department of Google. I think they would never, as a scientist in DeepMind, produce a demo like this. But then they have some kind of need to be superior to OpenAI, and then they have the marketing working with the scientists and developers in a way that I think is questionable. And I don't think internally in Google they're really happy with.
Like the benchmarks are impressive, and let's now it's very back to let's see when we get it and see what it's going to look like in real life.
It's still super impressive with Gemini. They didn't have to fake it. I think I'm a bit disappointed. I feel a bit cheated, at least. What about you?
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, they don't have to.
No, they don't have to.
You don't have to. Do you have any news?
Yeah, I just looked into Wired today, and I saw one of the notice on Nico, the full body scan, body scan, which Spotify founder came up with as one of the maybe one of the new unicorns from Sweden, and seems to be very, very promising and popular service where you can go into
AI for healthcare.
Yeah, so it's more like you can go in, have a full body scan with make use of AI to prevent being sick, basically. It could be skin diseases or whatever. And I think it's an interesting use case in general when it comes to prevention. And I see it in other parts of the world as well. For 1 year ago, actually, when been using it for the same purpose, but more for diabetes, and with very successful results.
And I mean, like we talked about this before the pod. I mean, like the whole angle of prevention.
Yeah.
I mean, like we work in the public sector. The compounding effects of value and saving money is probably very hard to even calculate. It's massive, of course. So prevention is the way to go where we can, of course.
Yeah. I mean, just when it comes to wrong payments within the government, it's tens of billions each year, and hopefully we can reduce that by the new agency when it comes to payments. It's about like a core, but also using new technologies like AI. So yeah,
interesting where this is going. With Daniel Ek has been quite successful so far.
He's behind it. I'm sure they have some good tech and motivation, and he certainly had a network to makes
To
it
scale it,
successful. Yes. So I think it will be successful. I actually put myself on a waiting list and I got the time,
Yeah, boy.
but I didn't have the courage to go through with it.
And why didn't you do that? Because you were unhealthy, right?
I gained some weight, yes. So, probably said.
All right. One news from me, and I'm not going to talk generative AI. Instead, I'm going to talk about Tesla Optimus Gen2. And could we have some clips so we can have a look at it? So let's start with the video.
It's very smooth.
So it's the generation Optimus
This is
Gen2.
the first one. This is from the first generation one.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
this is not the new one.
This is March.
Yeah, but we'll see the fingertips soon.
So Tesla, is not only building cars, they're building a humanoid. This is what the humanoid look like. It's not the Terminator, but it is a humanoid robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had improved the neck movements, one of the key things, and they have improved the next generation of the hands as well.
Yeah.
So TUDOF actuated neck. And the first time they had it on stage, he couldn't walk, right?
It's all shaky and stuff.
Shaky, and then the really remarkable thing is the speed that Tesla has done this. If you take sort of Boston Dynamics, I mean, like they use slightly different, I think, technology in terms of AI.
Boston Dynamics does not use machine learning.
This is what I mean. They use a different technology, but they've been at the game for 10, 15 plus years. And here comes someone who kind of knows data and tech. And, when did they start? 2021?
Later than that.
I mean, like, because what we're looking at here, picking up an egg,
Yeah.
it is really quite cool, right? And they are just getting started. And look, wait for the last bit. The dancers, of course.
How much edited it is?
No. This was the funny thing. This was the funny thing. In the press release, explicit, no editing. They made it explicit in the press release to make sure this is real.
Okay.
Elon loves to bash other people.
Yeah, he loves. So that was a direct bash for sure.
Do you know how much it costs to buy it?
What do you mean?
So far, but
You can buy it.
You can buy it.
Yes.
I can.
Not yet, but it's gonna come.
Yeah. What is the first? What's the list price?
$25,000 to $50,000.
but it's like a car.
Ah, it's like a car.
I'm gonna buy one.
I'm gonna buy one too, man.
For what purpose?
Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna have it like hanging out.
Get another beer.
Okay, yeah.
Why
No,
not?
this is cool for conferences. When you come, you pick
Yeah,
up all
yeah.
the best from this guy.
Perfect. But I mean, what's the idea of this? Do they have a special purpose, or it's just?
I can't speculate, but I think for one, it's surprisingly often okay, let me backtrack a bit. AI today, for one, what chatbot is doing is basically just perception. What they want to add is planning and reasoning. This is not really what ChatGPT has today, but they want to do it. Potentially the Q-star thing that OpenAI is doing is that thing, but they need another third thing, which is control. So if you take a self-driving car, that is not general, it's narrow, but still it has perception through the cameras. It has planning, and now with version 12, that's done through deep learning as well. And they have control, and also now in version 12, it isn't released yet, will also be done in a machine learning way. So they have all the three components to do something that is truly autonomous as well, and acting in the real world. And that is something that very few AI systems actually do. So what we hope, and I think Elon is thinking with this, is that Optimus, when it has the humanoid form, which the rest of society is all optimized for, can do so many more things in an automated way. And I think initially it will be just manufacturing, because so many things there is optimized for having a humanoid doing things. But that can then be extended to whatever kind of task you want. And the humanoid form is surprisingly general and useful, I think.
Yeah, so the bottom line is to go in and do tasks where you can then install a robot and automate without changing the environment so much. So if you think about Amazon has done an amazing job to robotize AI, put AI in their warehouses, but they need to build from scratch, like a warehouse that is optimized for how to have robots in them. Yep. So how can you put humanoids now at places where sort of you don't need to change the environment. You simply put them where the human was. That is the general idea. And then you come into manufacturing. You come into, if I take my old employer Vattenfall, we have many tasks where sort of cleaning cleaning inside the nuclear power plant. So you're doing high risk, high unsafe stuff.
Yeah.
So the bottom line with the humanoid is to be able to put a robot without changing the environment. I think that's the bottom line use case.